Hey guys, so today I'm going to be going through matrices. This is for Form 1s, by the way. And first of all, what is a matrix? So first of all, I'll give a few examples of matrices. So this is a matrix, this is a matrix, and this is a matrix. And basically they can be as big or as small as you want them to be. And to simplify it, a matrix is a rectangular array of numbers. And the next thing you need to know is, how do you define these different matrices? Like, how do you write out the dimensions of these matrices? So first of all, let's look at this first matrix over here. The first thing you need to do is count the number of rows. So there's 1, there's 2. That's 2 rows. So you write 2 here. The next thing you do is you write this multiplication sign, which it isn't actually a multiplication sign, by the way. It just represents the word by. So whenever you write this sign, you say something by something. So in this case, it's 2 by, and you count the number of columns, and that's 1, that's 2. So that's 2 columns. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix. All right, and then the next one, you do the same thing. So you count the number of rows. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 3 by how many columns is that? That's just 1. So you say 3 by 1. And the last one, this one's pretty easy because it's just a square, again, like the first one. So the number of rows is 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 by 1, 2, 3. That's 3. So that's a 3 by 3 matrix. And that's pretty much all you need to know for naming these matrices by their dimensions. And what do we need to know next? That's adding and subtracting matrices. So first thing you need to know is, you saw earlier that you can have a bunch of different dimensions for these matrices. And when you're adding and subtracting, they have to be the same dimension. So you can't have, let's say, 2, 1, 2, 1, a 2 by 2 matrix added with a 3 by 1 matrix, because that just doesn't work. You have to have 2 different 2 by 2 matrices, or 3 by 3 matrices, or any dimension, as long as they have the same dimensions. So let's have an example here. So let's have 2, 1, 2, 1 plus 3, 4, 5, 3. So as you can see, they're the same dimension, so you can add them together. So what you do is you look at all of these numbers in each of these matrices, and you take the first of all, you take the first one of the first matrix, and you take the first one of the second matrix, and you just add them together. So then here you have 2 plus 3, that's 5, and you have 5 there. The next thing you do is you take the second number of the first matrix and the second number of the second matrix, and you add them together. That's also 5. And you just carry on doing this with all the other numbers. So you have 2 and 5, that's 7. You have to write the number in the same place as the numbers you added with. And the last one is 1 and 3. That's 1 plus 3, that's 4. And after adding these two matrices, the matrix on the right is the one that you get after adding them. And basically, subtraction is just the same. So if I was to take the matrices, and subtract them, then you do the same thing. You just say the first one minus the first one. So that's 3 minus 2, that's 1. And then there's the second one minus the second one, that's 4 minus 1, that's 3. And then it's the third one minus the third one, that's 5 minus 2, that's 3. And the last one minus the last one, that's 3 minus 1, that's 2. And that's basically how you do it. So that's adding and subtracting done. And the next one is multiplying a matrix by a scalar. So what a scalar is let's have an example here. So you have your matrix. So, and a scalar is basically this matrix is all just 2's, right? And you can simplify it just like factoring out a number. You can just say that's the same as 2 times 1, 1, 1, 1. And this is your scalar number. And basically what you can do is this 2 multiplies with all these numbers in the matrix. So then this will be 2 times 1 and 2 times 1, 2 times 1, 2 times 1. And that'll be 2, 2, 2, 2. Right? So let's have another example here. Let's have a scalar number of 3 with 1, 3, 5, and 7. So you multiply the 3 with all the numbers in the matrix. So you have 3 times 1, you have 3 times 3, you have 3 times 5, and you have 3 times 7. And you have 3, 9, 15, and 21. And that's what you do when you have to multiply a scalar number with the matrix. And if you have to factor it out again, if you want to simplify a matrix, you can just take a number out of it. So here, obviously, to factor a number out, you have a 3. And you have 1, 3, 5, and 7 again. And it's basically the same as over here. So, yep. And the next thing you need to know is multiplying 2 different matrices together. So, let's have the first example here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 multiplied by 2, 3, 1, 4. Right? And basically, you don't even need to write this multiplication sign. It basically acts like brackets, right? You can just have them next to each other and you know that it's multiplication. And when you're multiplying 2 different matrices, you take the first row of the first matrix and you take the first column of the second matrix, right? And basically you take the first number of the first matrix of that row and the first number of the first column of that matrix, and you multiply them together. You say 1 times 2, right? And then you add the second number with the second number. So you say 1 times 2 plus 2 times 1. And that's what will go in your first slot with in the matrix that you're multiplying. And then the next one would be you take, okay, now let's get rid of that. Next thing you do for the number that's going to go here for the end product matrix, you take the number, the first row of the first matrix, and you take the second row of the second matrix, and that'll go in the position of the first row and the second column of the matrix that you're going to write the product of. So you have 1 times 3. So you have 1 times 3 plus, and then you have 2 times 4, right? So then that's plus 2 times 4, right? And that's going to be the number that you're going to get over there. And then you just continue this process for every single row and every single column combination. So next thing you look at is the second row of the first matrix and the first row of the second matrix, and then you do the same thing. So you say 3 times 2 plus 4 times 1. So you say 3 times 2 plus 4 times 1. And then it's the last one that we need to look at is the second row and the second column. So you say 3 times 3 plus 4 times 4. So then that's 3 times 3 plus 4 times 4. And then after that, you just simplify it and you get 1 times 2 is 2 plus 2 times 1, that's 2. So that's 2 plus 2, that's 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And 2 times 4 is 8. So then 3 plus 8 would be 11. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 1 is 4. So then 6 plus 4, that will give you 10. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. So then 9 plus 16 is 24. I mean, my maths is 25. Yeah, so that's multiplying to 2 by 2 matrices. And in your syllabus, that's all you need to know. 2 by 2 matrix but times 2 by 2 matrix. That's the biggest that you'll get. The next one you need to know is when multiplying to, as you can see, by multiplying 2 by 2 matrix by a 2 by 2 matrix, you're looking at the rows of the first matrix and the column of the second matrix. So basically, when you're multiplying 2 matrices, the row of the first matrix should have the same number of numbers as the column of the second matrix. So basically, this is what's coming up next. So you can have 2, 1, 3 multiplied by 3, 2, 1, right? So then here you have 3 different rows and you have multiplying by 3 different columns. So basically the number of rows in the first matrix should equal the number of columns in the second matrix, or vice versa, right? So when you're multiplying this, you just say first row with the first column. So that's 2 times 3, that's 6. Then you have second row with the second column, that's 1 times 2, that's 2. And then you have the last row with the last column, and then that's 3 times 1, that's 3, right? Then you have, it can be the other way around too. You can have your 3, 2, 1 and your 2, 1, 3, right? And basically you can have your first row multiplied by the first column, right? So then you have 3 times 2 plus 2 times 1 plus 1 times 3. That just gives you 6 plus 2 plus 3, and that gives you 11. And there's just one number in this matrix, and that's it. That's it for matrices in your syllabus. Thank you.